The Cavaliers beat the Pistons tonight, and I think everyone was invested in this game because this could very well be the Eastern Conference Finals. It could also be a second-round series if the current seeding holds, with the Cavaliers in the 4th spot and the Pistons at the top of the East. Obviously, the Knicks and the Celtics are going to have their say in who plays in the Eastern Conference Finals, but tonight could have been a preview. I said that twice. Let's not do that. The Cavaliers beat the Pistons tonight, and this very well could be the Eastern Conference Finals, depending on how seeding falls. Obviously, the Knicks and the Celtics are going to have their say, though, on who winds up playing for the Eastern Conference Finals. And this game wasn't a full preview because obviously the Cavaliers plan on having Donovan Mitchell available during that series. But that's not the part of the series that I'm interested in. I think both teams actually have pretty good options in terms of who to put on the opposing team's star guards. Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroeder and Tyson. I thought they all did a really good job tonight on Cade Cunningham, who was like 4 of 16 from the field at one point, had a pretty rough offensive night. And then everyone that plays for Detroit has the ability to guard. So that's not the part of the series that I'm interested in because all those players are great enough that you just kind of expect for them to score no matter who's defending them. Where I'm intrigued is the front court because the Cavaliers have a recent history of getting lackluster production from their front court in the playoffs. When they lost to the Knicks in the first round in the 2022-2023 season, they got pounded on the glass. Mitchell Robinson owned Mobley and Allen. The next season, they played the Magic in the first round, and they really struggled dealing with Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero, especially Paolo Banchero. Right? They end up escaping that series in 7 games. And then in the second round, they play the Boston Celtics, who would then go on to win the NBA Finals. But they were out-rebounded by 9 rebounds per game in that series. The front court for the Cavaliers didn't play well again. And then last year against the Pacers, it was not a front court issue. They just couldn't deal with the pace that the Pacers were playing at, and they shot the ball poorly. They shot like 29% from 3 in that series. So the front court wasn't the issue last year when they lost in 5 games. Now, bringing in James Harden is obviously going to bolster that backcourt because he's better than Darius Garland. He's more durable, so he's probably actually going to be available for every game and not dealing with some nagging injury. But I still have questions about the front court because while their production stays the same, because it does, Jarrett Allen regular season averages are about 13 and 10. In the playoffs, he averages 12 and 10. Evan Mobley's a career like 16 and 9, something like that in the regular season, and he's 16 and 9 in the postseason. But for some reason, you don't feel them as often in the postseason as you do in the regular season, despite the fact that they're playing more minutes. In the regular season, it seems like you can't go 2 possessions without seeing the impact from Jarrett Allen or Evan Mobley, whether that's setting a really nice screen that gets somebody loose. Maybe it's grabbing a rebound and then pushing it up the floor. Maybe Evan Mobley hits a 3. Whatever it is, you consistently see their impact during the regular season. And then you get to the postseason, and it's like they kind of disappear. Okay? And the Pistons are the best rebounding team in the NBA this year. And I was watching really to see how the front court of Allen and Mobley would handle that. As a team, Cavaliers did a really good job of getting to the glass. To be fair, a large part of that, I'm blanking on his name right now, a guard who averages 3 rebounds a game came in off the bench and had like 8 rebounds on the night. I got to talk about him because when guards do that, they need to be mentioned. Craig Porter Jr., can't believe that I forgot about him. But anyway, he comes in off the bench, and he's their leading rebounder. Meanwhile, Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen combined to grab like 8 rebounds. And in the playoffs, I think that number is going to go down. And I think part of why we don't feel their impact as often in the playoffs is because the playoffs are just more physical. There's not as many foul calls, right? There's a lot more pushing and shoving underneath the basket. And while Allen and Mobley are very athletic for their size, they're both pretty skinny. And they're a little bit easier to push around. And I just wonder if they're going to be physical enough to win multiple series against the best teams in the NBA. I mean, tonight, Jalen Duren was by far the best big on the floor. by far. Jarrett Allen barely played 20 minutes tonight. Evan Mobley played around 30. Jalen Duren, who played about 25 minutes, out-rebounded both of them combined. And like that, you can't get that from your 4 and your 5. Okay, like they had 8 rebounds. Jalen Duren had 14 by himself. He dang near doubled them up. You can't have that. And again, this speaks to the lack of physicality that the Cavaliers play with. And I think part of why they went out and they added Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis was to kind of give them a little bit more of an edge, to help them play with a little bit more physicality. The issue is, when you look at their 5 who are going to be closing playoff games and who are going to be playing the bulk of the minutes, because obviously role players, their minutes get cut. Starters, their minutes tend, or non-role players, their minutes tend to go up a little bit. And so, like, Keon Ellis and Dennis Schroeder aren't going to be out there for, like, 28 minutes a night. Like, it's not going to happen when the playoffs roll around. And when I look at the Cavaliers' best players, I don't want to call them soft, but they're certainly not as physical as the best teams in the NBA. Between Tyson and Allen and Mobley and Harden and Mitchell, it's a lot of finesse. You watch the Thunder play, there's a lot of physicality there. The Pistons, I would argue, are the most physical team in basketball. The Nuggets are incredibly physical. The Timberwolves are physical. The Celtics are physical. The Knicks are physical. The Rockets, incredibly physical. The Spurs, physical as well. And then you got the Cavaliers, who belong in that kind of same discussion as the rest of those teams. And they're, I think, by far the least physical of the bunch. And I think that's part of why we have seen them struggle when the playoffs roll around over the last 3 years. And I think it's going to be another issue for them again this year. They don't have a bruiser. Thomas Bryant plays hard, but I wouldn't really call him a physical player. They need a little more physicality if they want to beat the better teams in the NBA this year. Because that is one of the things that I think that the real title contenders, I don't think Cleveland is, have in common. They move the ball well, and they're incredibly physical. And Cleveland isn't that, and I think that's what's going to cost them at some point during the playoffs. That and James Harden's incredibly bad history of playing bad late in playoff series when the games really matter.